I'd like to call to order the workshop meeting for Verona Borough Council for Tuesday, October 29th, 2019. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will conduct roll call. Mr. Kenna is out of town at this time. Sandy Dravicki Bell, president, here. Dom is running late from work. Dr. Carpenter?
Here.
Mrs. Lualbo?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
Mrs. Provenza?
Here.
Mr. Suchovich?
Sure.
Mr. Recupero?
Here.
Council will now hear comments from the public. Mike Forbeck is listed here, but he is not present, so we'll move right on to comments from the public. Council will now hear comments on agenda items. Please approach the podium and clearly state your name and address. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Okay.
Sandy,
Yeah.
I think Mary has to talk about civil service.
You can, because it's about civil service?
Yes.
And it's about the police?
Yes.
Come on up. There's no microphone there.
Turn that around.
You didn't turn that around.
Turn it on. Wait a minute, I'll get it. Hold on.
Come on, man.
Trust me, I need no microphone.
The teacher.
Retired teacher.
Mary Sheridan, I'm representing civil service. 647 3rd Avenue is my address. I was contacted by David Recupero to start the process of hiring 2 full-time officers. So I spoke with a man by the name of Harry, I'll give you this, F-R-U-E-C-H-T. I can't pronounce it, but anyhow, I talked to him and he sent me this email, how to do the testing. And it's just the pricing. And what I like about this, as opposed to the way we did it before, we haven't hired through civil service, I think, for about 15 years. Last person was Sean Blake, so however long ago he was hired, that's how long ago we did it. But what I like about this is the person that will administer the test, there'll be a company come in, this guy will come. And who's he taking over for? What's that guy's name?
Bill Gamble.
Bill Gamble, that's right, okay. So it will be no name. If you read it, it's a 10 card, something like that. It will be like a number. And so that way there can be no accusation of bias or whatever like that. They won't even see a name on the test. There will only be a number on the test. They'll give us back the test after they correct them. Civil service doesn't do anything like that. And then they have to take a physical agility test out at the Police Academy or whatever, out at North Park. I believe they told me it's done on a Tuesday. There is one stipulation, it's somebody from the borough or whatever, I don't know if it's civil service, whatever, has to be present when they take the civil service test, or when they take the agility test. And you can see what the pricing is, and I don't know, I talked to Craig Alexander also. He put out an ad in the paper, which I believe it came out in Saturday's paper, but I really don't even know which paper that was.
It's supposed to be in the
Trib, right?
Trib, as far as but I have not seen it in the eastern, like the valley section. I've not seen it, the ad in there, so.
I had a text message from him Friday telling me that he had it
Yes.
written up and it would be in tomorrow's paper
That's what
meeting,
he told me.
Saturday. But he
Well,
didn't
it was
tell me what
Saturday.
paper.
The Trib is what he told me.
Okay, but so we have,
I've seen it.
you saw it?
Yeah, it's printed out.
Okay.
Okay.
Have we had any applicants yet?
Well, one of our part-timers isn't. We're taking the application out.
So I think it's 2 weeks we gave them to,
That's what it was supposed to be for, 2 weeks, yes.
so what happens if we only get 1 or 2 applicants?
Like you and I talked, we could go outside the area. You know,
You mean advertising outside?
Western Pennsylvania, the Ohio Valley. There's a lot of people looking just to get a start. And and I'm sure willing to relocate.
So who do I contact to do that, Craig?
Well, we'll talk to Craig on that.
Craig should probably contact the police academy too. Let them know that
Well,
there's,
Chief, you could contact them.
contact the academy and let them know that the
We're
test is,
hiring,
that
yeah.
we're hiring, the testing is coming up. And they may have just graduated a class or close to it so that they could get,
And if we need to, do we extend the date or do we stay firm with the?
let's see how many we get, and then I think it's better that we wait and see how many applicants that we get,
Okay,
rather than saying we're gonna do this or that until we see how many. I mean, we want a fair amount. I mean, we're not gonna get like they used to. I know that.
no, because the last time I was almost 100, because I had to do it in the fire hall.
Right, I mean,
And it was almost full. It
the
was,
city used to do 2 sessions, and they used to rent the convention center for it. You know, Monroeville, Dave even said recently, they used to get 125, 130
They got
people.
20.
They had 25 this time.
so I guess if we got 5, we might be.
I'd be lucky.
Yeah, so,
But it must be a clout nowadays.
you know, I mean, even the state police are having a hard time getting candidates, and they pay well too, so I think we need to wait and see and then make a
From there.
decision.
Okay, so who do I contact then at the end of the 2 weeks? Like the week, whatever date that would be, the 9th maybe?
2 weeks, yeah, that would be good. I think Craig and David. I think David,
Were they sent to a post office box or to the borough building? Do you remember?
No, they return them here.
They
The
were returned.
application, they pick them up here.
Oh, they pick them up here,
And
okay.
they're
They
sealed.
return them here.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I used to give them to you, and then you did the testing, then you
Right.
brought the results
Well, I
back.
have, right.
Brought the results back to me. I was head of the police committee at that time, and then we as a board went over it.
No, well, before that, I thought civil service did an oral interview.
Well, yeah, I'm saying when it's all
Right.
done is what I meant, yeah.
After the testing, the written exam and the physical agility, then civil service interviews.
yes.
And then, is it after that, that the background is done?
That's the way we did it before, yeah.
Don't do the backgrounds until you have your list made,
Correct,
because it costs money, a lot of money to do a decent amount of money to do background.
right.
And you don't want to do it unless you have the
And
2.
we used to do the top 5 you would pick for
We did do the
us.
top 5, that's correct.
And, yeah.
So I'm a little confused on who pays for the test. Does the borough pay for the test?
Yes.
But
Okay.
we can
So
charge.
So if it's 1 to 5 applicants, it's $330 a piece
No, I believe that's total.
total? Okay.
I think that's total. That's the way I read it, because didn't it say then 10 plus, it's 400?
Right.
40.
Or I mean 40.
Yeah.
Meaning it would be 400 total is what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I was.
Does have a fee on it, return, physical agility test,
Next interview.
I see.
Which helps cover the cost of the testing. Now, my question is, and I'm not sure, is it a civil service person, or is it a representative of council that has to be present for the physical agility test?
Last time civil service was.
Well, that's what I thought it should be. It shouldn't be anybody from...
But I can't tell by what that said, what that,
Well, I would, that's why I asked, because it says municipality is required to have a representative on site. I would think that it should be somebody from the civil service, not somebody from council.
If you can't make it, Mary, I'm sure the board, we could send the street, John from the street department, being...
I'll see, I babysit my granddaughter that day, but they live 10 minutes from there, so it might not be a big issue either, so. When we get that far, we'll,
Okay.
Hey, we got a representative here from the engineer, so
there we go.
a cute one at that.
So, any other questions or anything else?
Oh, it's all in work. So they do the test and a physical agility, then they interview.
Right.
Well,
Board.
they don't do the interview.
We-
Civil service.
Civil service
So that would be
interviews.
Dom,
Right.
John, and myself.
Then from that candidates, they give a list to me and Dave,
Correct.
as to the 5 that hopefully we have.
Okay, thank you for your work.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving right along here. Reports and correspondence, Mr. Kenna's not here. Mayor?
A couple things. Mrs. Raylis, when we honored her at the last meeting, she was in a hospital and she was supposed to go back, and I told her she didn't have to come. She's very grateful. She's in pretty bad shape, apparently, with the tragedies that she had and, with her kids losing them. She has lost a lot of weight and she has pins in her back, and they've moved, and they thought they could operate on her, but they told her that, because of her age and everything, they can't. So she's hurting, and I told her that, we're very grateful, the board and the community that she served, with all the kids, that she didn't have to come, because it's very hard for her to get around, but she was very thankful and grateful. Just an update on part-timers. Officer Kozar, is it Kozar or Kozar? Kozar. He'll be back in 2 weeks, you said? He'll be working 32 hours. I'm going to put him on. And tree cutting on West Railroad Avenue. We need to get that done. Those trees near the bank of the railroad are very overgrown, and especially by the Sylvan Bar there. Here's one, looks like it's going to come down, that real big one that goes straight out.
Yeah.
That's pretty dangerous.
Are they ours or are they the railroads?
They're ours.
The railroad will tell them they're ours.
Yeah, even if it's theirs, they're ours.
If it's theirs, they tell them it's ours when it comes to that.
So in addition to the tree cutting, as was discussed at the code meeting yesterday, the company came and cut the weeds back 6 feet on the corner of Church and 3rd. But there are several dead trees there that are going to come down on the wires.
Well, the other thing too is, if you notice throughout the town, there's a lot of tree branches covering the street lights, and they're all on private property. So, in the future, we're going to have to do something about that too. It's blocking the light. I know I have one across from my house. It's blocking the light, and the borough maintains the property. Cutting the grass, because we tore the house down, so we ended up maintaining everything. And it's things like that. I mean, you can only see like down the street, but up the street, that branch is blocking, the light.
Doesn't Duquesne Light do that?
Only if it's affecting the wires or, things like that.
They make the trees look like mushrooms.
Yeah, I know they do, but I thought
Yeah, they just cut
maintained
around
that.
But the wires are on my side of the street, so there's
Right.
nothing on that side. And that's just one example.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we did cut them back or tell the people they're gonna have to start thinking about cutting them back, and I know it's an expense, maybe we could do it as a group rate, get a company in.
Well, it's Wildwood Avenue they're starting to cross again.
That was a group rate too. Dominic brought that up about getting those, trimmed back straight up again.
Yeah, because that's
There was-
been, 5 years?
Yeah, there was like 5 or 6, maybe 8 people that all pitched in, because that's private property, but
Right.
it needed done. You're right.
We should probably look at getting a company in that would give us a price on all of it.
So
And maybe get a better deal in the long run.
Well, that's what I mean. And
Right.
if somebody's house, has trees, that, they can give them a price, put it all in the price.
But they were already up on the corner of 3rd and Church and didn't take down those dead trees. So I would suggest, instead of more taxpayer money being spent, have them come back and finish their job.
Excuse me, but was that the bid for it, to cut the
I
trees or
don't
just to
know.
cut the weeds?
Well, it's all right there, Pat.
Yeah,
It's all
okay.
right there.
The other thing I have is the residents requested, and it is public knowledge on the police blog, and I talked to the chief, and we're going to try to put, we're not going to try, we're going to put something together on, for the police blog, but as we discussed it, how, what do you want to put it on? I know it could go in the newsletter, how are we going to get it out to the people? Some suggested once a month having it at the podium, as people come in.
What are they requesting?
Police block.
Okay.
Like, remember the Vance Leader used to have it in all the time?
Is everybody
With the
aware that
magistrate.
there was a threat at the Riverview High School
Yeah.
on Monday? Is everybody aware of
no,
that?
I was not aware of that.
So I think these things are important. They need to be out there.
Right. And the last thing is Halloween on Thursday night.
What night?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay.
It's supposed to rain and rain pretty hard, so I don't know what the board wants to do. I talked to Councilwoman in Oakmont, and it's up in the air for them too. We had canceled it one time when Mayor Fessemeyer was mayor years ago. It did the same thing, rained all day and all evening, and we just canceled it altogether. So, I mean, that'd be up to the board.
A lot of people, a lot of communities have either moved it to tonight or tomorrow night because of the
Right.
terrible weather.
And how do you get it out?
Well,
You know what I mean?
it's
I
too
mean,
late to get it out now. I
Yeah.
mean, short of,
It's not really.
But how do you get it out there?
to change it, I mean, to tomorrow.
It would have to, you'd almost have to do it for Friday.
Friday or Saturday.
But Friday's.
Saturday, right.
Yeah. Friday's supposed to be rain too,
Yeah, during
and
the
very,
day.
very cold.
Yeah, 49. I think.
what
But I
I-
mean, that's up to the board. What?
It is the end of
What
October.
I heard on the news tonight, for the city and surrounding areas, that they were moving it to Friday or Saturday. As opposed, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
tonight would have been great, but it was too
too
late
late
to do
I mean,
that.
yesterday was actually when they start predicting it's going to rain Wednesday and all day Thursday and evening.
It's supposed to start tomorrow night and rain all day.
Right.
Maybe we should wait because sometimes they're wrong.
You're absolutely right.
So see what
Not the
it's like.
weather.
Could we do a text alert? Would that get the information out if we canceled?
That would be part of it. We can use all our Facebook pages, the community
I think the
email.
other part too is to call Jim Folks and ask him to put something
Put it
on
on
the
the
board.
digital.
That, you know,
So what do you want to do? Wait till tomorrow to find out exactly what the weather's
see
going
what
to
the
be?
weather's gonna be like for Thursday and
I mean,
then,
there could be a window, between 5:30 and 7 or,
yeah. Let's,
it's a tough call. That's-
I think if we wait till tomorrow, at 5 or 6 o'clock, then we can make that phone call to, put it out early enough for Wednesday night into Thursday, and ask Jim to put something on the board as well. That it's canceled till, and rescheduled for like Friday.
Could we get something to the school? Would the school announce it at their morning announcements?
On Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Send a paper home or something?
Yeah, that'll be some kind of flyer or something.
So are we going to decide that together as a group text or something?
Or David could call the shot, being the mayor.
Lord knows.
The council president could call the shot. I don't want all those little kids banging on my door.
Yeah, if
that's
it's
fine.
raining, it's kind of almost a no-brainer.
Right, but people will still come out.
Sure.
I mean, it's happened in the past.
The kids were talking about umbrellas today.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Right now, it looks like Friday night and Saturday night, both 10% chance of rain, but Friday night's going down to 29 degrees.
yeah, that's,
So is
that's,
Saturday
My kids
night.
are out there with 6 inches
So
of
is
snow.
Saturday night, so.
I don't know. I mean, you're faced with wet and rainy one night and
Sure.
cold the next night, so.
Yeah, but
Well,
at
I'm
least
just
with
putting
the
it on
cold,
the
you can
board,
bundle
so-
up.
See what you want to do.
It's up to you guys. What do you
My
want?
suggestion, if we're gonna cancel, is change it to, and just go with Friday. If we change it, cancel it.
Yeah.
You start going too late, then it's kind of like,
I
it's
agree.
defeating the purpose.
I agree.
Yeah.
Go Friday, even though it's cold, the kids can bundle up.
Yeah.
Just want to go ahead and do that? Make the decision now? Or do you want to wait?
You know what'll happen if we make the decision now, the sun will be out.
Yeah. I think maybe tomorrow, the
We'll make the
decision should be
decision.
Make the
made.
decision, then put out on the text alert and maybe
Get a better
contact
idea of what's going on with the weather
Mr.
tomorrow.
Folks and see if it can get up there on the digital.
All right, I'll
Facebook.
play it by ear and I'll let you,
Yeah,
I'll send a
we
text out.
have
to
many
everybody.
pages on Facebook we can
Yes.
put it out on.
Now that I changed Nancy's number. I won't get her landline.
Okay.
Nancy, look.
Oh, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Mac, do you want to go ahead and do yours first, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, that's fine. So we did open the quotes for the Second Street repair. The low bidder was Pampina Landscaping. And I had been talking with the mayor, so I had already started the paperwork with him to get going. He was actually, out of the 6 quoters we received, he was able to start the project the quickest as well. He has a November 6th start date on that, so he'll get in there and start working on that date.
How much?
$147,000.
Okay, thanks.
So it came in at a pretty good price.
What about a timeline? I mean, I know that anything can happen.
As of right now, he's thinking probably about three weeks for total completion. Weather and things could change that. Luckily, he's pretty close right now. He's just working on 7th Street, so it won't take him much to mobilize and get started. I did talk to the property owner right there. I need to talk to Pampina, see if he needs the yard. If so, the property owner is willing to work with us, so that's good. I also talked to Felino. They have the CDBG for the Center Avenue, removing those concrete slabs and paving. I initially thought that was going to be delayed till next spring due to HUD dragging their feet on the contracts. Those were released and they want to get started on it. So I did meet them in the field. That's why all the paint's over there. As soon as they have it scheduled, they're going to give me as much notice as possible. That will close Center from ARB to Eilers for about, we gave them 7 days of closure to complete that. So that should be coming up here in the next month or so. Other than that, moving forward with the CDBG projects, we'll be getting the signed contract back for the DCD grant, and we'll get moving on the pavilion for cribs and just some odds and ends around town, working with AJ on some guide rail issues, and selling that project. It's moving along. They have a few more days of completion. Got slowed down a little bit because of utilities in the area, but we're working through it and getting it done.
Matt, I have a question on the Selden project.
Yes.
The residents down there, they laid down the stone and gravel, in the parking areas. They were wondering if that's going to be restored because the residents paid for that themselves.
Yeah, it might not be the exact same stone that was there before, but they will scrape any of the mud up and make sure that there is stone back down.
Okay.
Are you talking about across the street from the Hums?
Yes.
Bill Sacramento just,
Right.
The borough did pay for that. We put signs up there, so that he was asking if we could restone that area is what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, so we have maintained that as far as stones, and there were signs because the residents didn't have nowhere to park.
Yeah, and I know the stone beforehand was like a crushed limestone, kind of grayish in color, and they were using a pea gravel for the pipe bedding, which is more brownish, but that's where their stone pile was. So I imagine what's left over, they'll spread out, and so it might have a little bit of a different look to it, but it will be stone.
Thanks.
And that's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Introduce your daughter.
Oh, for everyone wondering, this is my daughter Carter.
And how old is Carter?
She was 9 months on Tuesday.
Yes, she is, very much so. Okay, I just have a few things while we're talking about 2nd Street. My concern is, and we had a text message going back and forth regarding putting up a stop sign of some sort there for the cars that are flying up and down. My concern is with moving the clocks back, it's going to be darker earlier, as well as putting up a stop sign. Is there any way that we can put up reflectors or neon tape around those cones? Because at night, you really don't see them.
Well, we have cones.
Some of the cones are knocked over, though, because, I mean, they're not neon, they're not standing out, so, I mean, you can't see them if you're flying down.
I'll talk to AJ too. We can get a couple, they're not very expensive.
I just was thinking with Halloween and the kids,
orange flashing
yeah.
lights.
the kids walking around, cars traveling, they're not slowing down. I mean, we need to have that done like before, if we move Halloween to Friday, it has to be done this week.
I'll talk to AJ tomorrow and see if he might have some. If not, I'll see if he can pick some up.
Okay.
Are we going to do the stop sign? Didn't we at least somewhat decide to do that on the text message?
We had talked about it. I think it's still okay the way it is, and with
Gonna create a big issue, stops on detouring
Right,
people.
especially now. The only thing is there are cars, and I don't know, there are cars parked on the opposite side of Second Street, up behind that fence. So going up Second Street. So I don't know if they're from the residents that live in that section between Wood Street and Church, if they're parking over there.
I think maybe a couple of the bus riders.
There's no, it's not permit that far up
Right, but
though.
that's where they're parking.
Yeah.
They can't park down below.
Right,
Once we move in, we'll have that whole area coned off. And
okay.
there's going to be a few days where there's going to be closures because the pipe does cross the road. I've been talking to Jerry, because where we make our tie-in down on Wildwood, there's going to be a day where half of Wildwood is going to be shut down. So we'll work out all the detours on that and get as much advance notice as possible out there.
Okay.
Just so we don't have a bus lane in the hole.
No, unfortunately, where we have to tie in is about the center of Wildwood. So our thoughts were traffic exiting Verona will still be able to use Wildwood, and everyone coming down will have to detour onto Second. We will be using a high early strength concrete, so we hope that it's only a day or two that those conditions are that way.
Right, well, we gotta do what we
We'll
gotta
have to
do.
work around it.
Chief, make sure Annette knows in November not to issue any permits to those people, 'cause that's gonna all be taken up. From Wood Street down to Church where they're parking.
Yeah, they're not parking there now.
There's 2 cars there with permits.
I'll look at it. But I'll mention it to you.
While we're talking about streets, I brought some of Peach Alley with me. Peach Alley is actually crumbling apart. It is quite dangerous to walk. I know when we talked about taking the steps down there between Vogel's and First, people raised their arms in a panic about that because of the walkability in Verona. They don't want the steps coming down. However, you cannot walk in this alley without tripping. I understand that we have this cost with the streets and everything, but this has been a topic of conversation for 12 years that I've been on council, as well as the alley between North and Parker. Frank Paradise, who's on our planning commission in December of 2018, it's almost a year here. His letter said the condition of the alley between our streets is deplorable. We are asking to have it repaved this upcoming season. That didn't happen. There are many soft spots, dips, even surfaces crumbling asphalt, and even holes that keep reappearing. There are young children that play in this alley, and we are concerned for their safety, which I have brought to council. Rainwater gathers in the many low spots and does not drain properly. Please consider adding this to the list of repaving projects for the year. I'm going to pass this on to the mayor for a souvenir, for a reminder, because in a couple brief meetings here, I am not going to be on council. And this is going to continue. These are your streets, Mayor. These are your streets.
And I don't make the decisions as far as what streets. I mean, you had brought it up.
Correct.
I had brought up the Children's Center. That's deplorable.
Correct.
Down here on East Railroad, they
Correct.
brought that up, and this was all supposed to be done. Then we had the Second Street project, and we diverted all the money, at least some of the money, to that. First Street didn't get done.
Correct.
Right.
But you are the ultimate representative of Verona.
All right, let
Okay.
somebody make a motion to pay the street.
And I don't know what else we can do about it. But guaranteed, when I'm off council in January, we will have a neighborhood meeting in this chamber room
Have you
regarding this
called-
alley.
Have you called the street department as president of council and say, can you come up here and patch some of these holes?
They've been up there. My complaint is not with their patching. They were up there probably last month. Patched a hole right in front of my garage.
Hey, Matt, what can we do about that right
28
now?
inches by 34 inches. I measured it.
Well, I was just on a back road in East Deer the other day that I believe that they used the COG equipment for, and I think they didn't remove the old surface, they just overlaid it, and it turned out pretty well. Usually when you do that though, it doesn't last the longest. But I was gonna talk to Mr. Taliani, the president of East Deer, see if that's what they actually did and see how they did it, because you do need pretty substantial labor force to be able to do it.
It needs to be done.
And they will.
It's at least a 5 or 6 man
We need to
job.
do it right.
And
I mean,
they will provide, they will provide help. The guys from the other boroughs and municipalities who know how to do this, who have done it, are willing to come and work no matter where. So, I mean, and it's not only my alley. Sylvia Provenza has had complaints, and she has brought it to council about the alley between Parker and North. I mean,
That's very bad also.
it's like a moon surface. So, I just thought some show and tell here is very much so, because if you listen to the news at all, other communities are having the same problem, and there's a guy on about 2 months ago on Channel 4 Action News that was gonna plant a tree. So maybe the Flower and Garden Club can come up and plant some trees and shrubbery in the alley, because there's nice holes already dug.
The other thing, Matt, too, is if we do it ourselves, we're gonna have to rent triaxles.
Well, that's what I was gonna, because I imagine that's what, if East Deer used the equipment, that's what they had to do too.
Right.
So I was gonna reach out to them and see.
You're gonna run into timeline
Exactly
now,
how they-
weather-wise, you're gonna
Well,
run into where you can't get material.
it might not be this year, but if we run the numbers and can save money,
Can you look into that, see what we could do within the next month?
yeah.
Before they close?
And I was talking to Jerry too, I'm gonna be meeting with him. Some of these costs didn't go as high as we anticipated. Selden came in 10, 15,000 less than what we estimated. Second came in 50,000. Granted, those numbers are item quantities, so it might fluctuate a little bit,
Right.
but I think we still are a good $50,000 less than what we anticipated. So if we can't get anything done in the next month, I'll talk to AJ, we can get some decent temporary patches up there and then plan for something more permanent next year.
We gotta do something about that hole on Center. I mean, could we cut it out
I was talking to
and
AJ
fill
about
it?
that.
See what's, I know you cambered it.
We looked at the camera, there's no major defects or anything. That doesn't mean that the fine material doesn't eventually get washed away. So I was talking to him about cutting that out. And then where the water is, I was talking to him about putting in a dry sump with like a vent pipe to just focus the water in the curb line and not in the lane itself.
Right, because that does get very bad.
Yeah, so I was
Everybody
talking to
that
him
travels,
about that, so.
When it freezes.
I had asked council to consider gift cards for Mr. Truby for his Veterans Day gathering and affair on Saturday, I believe it's the 9th. I want to thank Councilperson Janet Loalbo and Councilperson Pat McCarthy and myself as well. I don't know if there's anybody else here. But thank you very much for the gift cards. I'm sure Mr. Truby will send you thank you cards.
So I plan on doing that. I just completely escaped my mind today. Is there somewhere I can drop it off?
Drop it off at the funeral home.
Call Mr. Truby and drop it off.
Okay. And he's gonna hand them out individually or in a basket, or what's he doing?
I'm turning these over to Mr. Truby.
And then he'll
He's in
decide.
charge of the affair.
Okay, I'll talk to
Okay.
him then.
The only other question I have is for Mrs. Provenza. I was wondering about the policy for the digital billboard. Has there been any update on the digital policy?
Craig's going to bring that up at the next meeting.
Okay. And that's everything. Mr. Conti's not here. Mr. McCarthy?
Well, this is Sharon brought up about the, what's going on with the police. So we're moving with that. And the other thing we have is the chief's contract.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a motion that we accept it.
Okay, motion on the floor to accept the chief's contract, made by Mr. McCarthy. I will second. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Mrs. Loalbo?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mrs. Provenza?
I'm going to abstain at this time. I would like to look at the contract again.
Okay, we've had this for quite some time.
Abstain.
I say yes. Dr. Carpenter?
No.
Mr. Suchovich?
Yes.
And Mr. Conti is absent, so the yeses have it. Anything else, Mr. McCarthy?
No, that's it.
Okay, Mr. Suchovich?
Just for the board's record, 2 fire engines, we had them pump tested last week. You're supposed to do that every year. We unfortunately don't. We had a company come out and do it. They passed, so we'll be getting a bill for that. And we have the man coming out that services them and PMs them and oil changes and all that. He came out one day, he did all the greasing, and he's gonna come out tomorrow and do the oil changes and everything else to finish out. So that'll be done for the year. Everything will be done for the year. That's it for the fire hall. I talked to Jerry about the budget, and he's supposed to have a budget drafted to us by, he told me, the Thursday before the next meeting, which to me it looks like the next meeting's the 12th, right?
Yes.
So it looks like the
7th?
7th. So he's gonna have a copy to us, a rough draft of the budget for then, so we have time to go over it before the meeting, which will give us 2 weeks after that. We have it budgeted to vote on it, that we want the budget done by the 26th of November so we can vote it on the 10th of December. So that's where we stand with the budget.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do want to say, Ray, that I was talking to a business owner in Penn Hills today who happens to live in Oakmont, and gave kudos to the Verona Fire Department for the fundraisers that they perform, the 200 Club, the Monte Carlo, the tickets that are going around now for
The Turkey Bash.
the Turkey Bash for Verona as well as Penn Hills. And like I said, he gave kudos to the Verona because Oakmont falls short on that. So, thank you,
Tell them
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah. First, I just want to say about the vote on the contract for the chief. The reason that I said no is because during our meeting 2 or 3 weeks ago, we discussed some other options that might temper how much we would be spending for the chief in order to make sure that we had enough money to pay for the new full-time people that we're planning on hiring. And several suggestions were made, and then I didn't hear any thoughts about how we might integrate those suggestions into the contract. So, Chief, I just want you to know it's nothing personal. I just am trying to look out for our fiscal situation.
I understand that.
Yeah. We had our ordinance meeting yesterday. Before I get to the ordinance, I also just want to mention, it was in the ordinance meeting, we talked about these dead trees that are up on the Church Street lot, and we talked about finding a tree removal company to take care of those trees. I was told that we have a company that we've used in the past, but I also am aware of a company that I've used at my house and will be using around our property. Great guy with very good prices. We're very happy with them, and I'd be happy to call him and ask him to do an estimate for the borough. The only thing I would need would be specifics of where precisely the trees, I mean, I know where it is on West Railroad. I'm familiar with those trees there. But in other parts of the town, if there are places, so he could come with his cherry picker and do everything in 1 or 2 days, I'd be happy to give him a call and get an estimate. I just need to have that information. So whoever knows where there are trees that need to be trimmed, if you could email me, that would be very helpful. As long as everyone is okay with me calling this
Well, I would like to see if we're going to get his estimate, to get the gentleman's estimate that we've been using,
Sure.
and compare the two.
Sure, absolutely. I don't know who the other person is. This is Keelan Brothers, Keelen.
We've used BJ Tree Service, is that who you're thinking?
BJ's, I think, right?
Yeah, because he does like our emergency work and what have you.
And if he's been doing the work for us, and I'm assuming it's exceptional because I haven't heard of any complaints, I would rather go with him than somebody that we aren't familiar with.
So if you don't want me to get them, that's fine too.
I think it's good to have a couple estimates.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think
All right,
so too.
then I'll be happy to call him as soon as I get all the information as to where everybody is thinking there needs to be.
We should compile paper where they are and put it out to whoever, so
So they
they're bidding
bid
on
the same thing.
bidding on the same
Sure,
items.
absolutely,
That's what I'll
yes.
say, oh, I only did 3, I only seen 3 trees, this will say I've seen
Right.
7 trees.
Okay, so,
So maybe AJ can go around and mark the trees, or,
I was just gonna say, if you could have them go around.
and mark them and tell us which ones or something.
Okay.
And that way we know.
Yeah.
And we can get a good bid. We're
Yes.
not back and forth
No,
20
yeah.
times like we are for everything.
well, we want apples compared to apples, yeah. Okay, great, sounds good. Okay, in terms of the meeting that we had yesterday, we talked about a lot of things. Let's see, I believe that we're going to be filing several civil suits against several people who've not paid their regulated rentals. Craig is going to be taking care of that. The Casabella property is possibly selling. We're not 100% sure about that. And that case that's been in the courts for many years is picking up speed in terms of some settlement. So that's going on. What else here? In terms of Rivertown, I think there's a lot of activity going on with Rivertown. I'm not sure exactly at this point what's going to happen with that, so that's up in the air. And there's also a question about the Marina Pub property, whether or not it's going to be sheriff saled or someone else seemed to have interest in it. There's going to be the zoning hearing board on the 14th of November. regarding Airbnb on Penn Street. Mark knows a lot about that, and he will be there for the zoning hearing board.
Which will be at 7 o'clock in this room, right?
Yes. Craig is continuing to do research on food truck ordinance, and we may end up making a motion to suspend enforcement of that, and we may possibly do a resolution backing off some of the criteria for that, because most municipalities don't have a lot of local problems with that, and as long as the food trucks have passed the health department and have a license from the county, that's usually good enough. Greg is going to be working on a fee resolution for dumpsters, and also possibly changing some of the fines for grass and weeds. That's about all I have from the ordinance meeting at this time.
Okay.
Sandy, can I add one more thing?
Sure.
I forgot. I got a phone call about the recycle bins over here the other day, the red ones. I brought some stuff down last Sunday and put some stuff in. They're pretty jammed. Today we noticed that there's a couple bags beside him, so I called the guy. We're on a schedule to get picked up tomorrow or the next day, he said. So he's on his way and he's aware of it.
Okay.
So if anybody's questioning,
They pick up every week? Or
no, I'm not sure when they pick up.
Yeah, I noticed the bag.
Yeah. They weren't there Sunday when I dropped stuff off, so
They're going to pick up either the 30th or the 31st?
supposedly the next day or two, he told me.
Okay.
He wasn't sure, he didn't have a schedule with him in his truck. What he does is he goes to all the ones around this area, like North Bessemer, Thad Stevens, Point Breezier, and gets them all in one day. That's what he does.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
To piggyback on Ray there, I forgot to mention, Jerry and I had a meeting with County Hauling, just bringing to their attention some of their deficiencies and kind of putting them on notice of this is some of the problems going on. So hopefully we start to see that being a little bit better. One of the topics Jerry and I have been talking about is the dumpsters on the side of the building here. They're supposed to be used for recyclables only. That's not how they're being used. So we tossed around the idea of going down the one and putting a fence around it and putting clear signs saying recycling. We also talked about the idea of just getting rid of both of them and having another parking spot or two over there. We didn't want to make that decision ourselves, so I wanted to bring it to council and see what your thoughts were.
Them two dumpsters cost us a lot of money every month.
Yeah,
Remember
and-
last month I brought that up?
And County Hauling said that they have no issue removing them.
As far as the signs, the aluminum cans, the Boy Scouts, we put signs on there, aluminum only. Go open some of the back.
Right.
It only goes so far,
I know.
unfortunately. We just felt if we stayed the one and put the fence around it, it would deter some of the just pull up and drop off type people, but
in.
you're still gonna get it regardless.
Right.
And our thought was that they're only for recyclables. And even though there is that grant available, it's such a small amount of money per ton that the money we are bringing in is from the residential collection, not from any businesses bringing it over to these dumpsters. So that was just a decision we wanted to bring up.
So my question is, why are we having recyclable dumpsters when everyone in town should have their own recycling bin?
My understanding
yeah.
is under some of the past contracts, they were put there to entice some of the businesses to recycle.
Right.
Okay.
But under the, I forget what it is, what the grant is, but it breaks down to pennies per ton. And for the tonnage that Verona does, it comes out to be about $1,800 a year that we get back from this grant. And it's costing almost that to have the two dumpsters.
So we could get most of that $1,800 from the 904 grant from the residential and save the money on having the dumpsters.
That's where 85 to 90% of it comes from right
Okay.
now anyways.
How much does it cost us to have those dumpsters?
I think it's like 30 bucks a month.
I counted them last month. I don't have my numbers with me, but it was higher than that.
Well, we also have the roll-off dumpsters. For
Oh,
public works.
yeah, but if you're, yeah.
I think that size is like 30 a month per dumpster, so 60 bucks a month for those 2 dumpsters. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's
I'm
about
not,
what it is.
you're right. I'm not sure pricing, but
Is council okay with having those dumpsters removed and 2 parking places added there?
Yep.
I'd be
I
good
am.
with that.
Mrs. Allowable?
Yeah.
Do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to have the 2 dumpsters, recycling dumpsters removed.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Allowable. I'll second to have the dumpsters on the side of the garage removed from County Hauling.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make the call to Pete. He said
she agrees.
he'll have them out of here in a day or 2 if we give him the thumbs up. So.
Okay, motion on the floor. Is everybody in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay?
She already passed it.
I love it.
She already went like this.
Here's a binky.
She doesn't.
Anything else, Dr. Carpenter?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Mrs. Loalbo?
Normally, the Parks and Recreation Board meeting is the first Tuesday in November. This first Tuesday is Election Day, so we have scheduled a meeting change for Wednesday, November 13th at 7 o'clock. It has been advertised, but I just want to let everybody here know as well, here in the Borough Building.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, we received a letter on October 21st. Dear Miss Vicky Bell, I have enjoyed being part of Verona's Park and Recreation Board and being able to help build the foundation to allow it to positively grow in the future. I find myself unable to dedicate the time needed to be effective at the level I feel necessary as chair of the board. I am hereby resigning from Verona's Park and Recreation Board effective December 1st, 2019. I will continue to volunteer to support Verona in many other ways, including continuing with the VOOP multi-community trail process. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the many positive events and efforts to make the community better. Sincerely, Michael G. Forbeck. I would like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Michael Forbeck from the Parks and Recreation Board.
Motion by Mrs. Loalbo to accept Mr. Forbeck's resignation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. McCarthy. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
On the same accord, I know we have here and there been discussing, right now the board consists of 7 board members, maybe reducing it. We have 2 terms that will be expiring. From what I gather, the 2 that the terms are expiring, they are interested in continuing with the board. But further discussion amongst the board, and I will bring it back once I know exactly if we're going to eliminate 2 board members, keep it at 7, or reduce it to 5. But it's just a thought process too. I know, talking with Oakmont's board, they're currently 9. They're talking about reducing theirs to 7, possibly 5 as well. And from what I understand, some other communities are doing the same. So that's just up in the air right now.
Okay.
And I believe that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Provenza.
I'm sorry the chief left because I wanted to make a comment to him. I have absolutely nothing personal toward him. I just thought, as Nancy, that I would have liked that contract reviewed, but I don't certainly have any reason to have anything against him in any way. That's what I wanted to say about that. Secondly, I've had numerous phone calls. The line on Center Avenue is so light, people are saying they can't see it. And with winter coming, I really feel it should be painted as a safety precaution for people. They're coming over on the other side, and it's not a good idea. Maybe could we have it painted?
I don't think that's gonna dry, is it, Raymond? You're more familiar with that stuff. This time of year.
You're getting down to the time of year where it's not gonna dry, where it's gonna take for,
People are gonna run over it, and like you see on the streets now, when they
Take a
do
long
it in the
time.
summer.
them paint trucks, when they come down the road, they heat the paint. When they put it on, when they apply it to the road.
I think in the past years, I'm not sure.
Well, if we get a warm day, would it be possible to
If we get
do?
a warm day, a warm sunny day,
Because today it was 70. But I don't know how many more of
Today's
those
over.
we'll have, right? That's the thing with that. But they just had concern for safety because they said, I'm coming up the hill and the guy's clear on my side, or I'm coming down and
No,
somebody
very
going
good
up is
idea.
clear on my side and they can't see the line. So that was one concern. The other thing is, with Christmas and New Year coming up, I talked with Ray today at the print shop where we deal with our newsletter, and he said, please, 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 I need everything by December the 6th. That would be ads, articles, so I'm kind of giving a heads up so that people will know that if they want to put anything, they have to have it in early. So December the 6th is the day. Usually it's the 15th, but he wants it earlier. The other thing is, ALOM had a women's leadership conference downtown Pittsburgh, and the speaker was State Representative Anita Astorio-Kulak, and she spoke on women in politics, and she said the trend has changed tremendously. Women weren't even allowed to vote at one time, and she said now women have wonderful positions in politics. And she said that is a wonderful move for women. So it was a very well-attended and very good conference. I was glad to be there.
When was this conference?
That was October, I believe it was the 15th, to
Yeah.
be sure.
Yeah,
If I'm-
that sounds right, because I wanted to go and I was out of town.
Yeah, you were
So
out of town.
our public meeting on the 8th, that could have been announced, but it wasn't announced.
I didn't know then.
Okay.
That's why, if not, I would have been glad to announce it. The Historical Society this month is not going to have their regular meeting. What they're going to do is, they'll have a trip down to Carnegie Museum in Oakland, and that'll be on Saturday, November 23rd. And if anybody would like to go, they're to be at the Borough Building at 11 a.m. Saturday, November 23rd.
Where are they going again? I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
Where are they going?
To the Carnegie Museum,
Oh, nice.
yes, instead of a meeting. Also, we had Stephen Zappala here on Thursday, October 24th. Had a very nice crowd there. He did a nice job of presenting. And Ray, I thank you again for use of the fire hall.
No problem.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
And then on the next night, Friday the 25th, we had Lisa Middleman here, and she also did a presentation and did a very nice job. Halloween parade was Saturday the 26th. Huge success. Lots of children, very, very well attended. Everybody was extremely happy with it. It was done through our Chamber of Commerce, and Kevin, the president, said, please thank everybody that was there, and thank you for all the volunteers, and I was also there to help.
Yes, and Pat showed up with his grandkids, that was real nice. And if I
Yes,
could-
that's right.
If I could make a comment,
And you had your grandchildren there.
yeah, and the chamber put out 100 bags they filled, and they had to improvise and put out more.
Yeah, we ran out.
Usually we get 75 to 80, 85. There was probably 125. It was 40 minutes long from the police station, around the block, and back.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
Yeah, we
very
were
well
filling
attended.
bags at the last minute there because we ran
And
out.
business people came out on the other side of the street and gave candy out also.
Rivertown Plaza had it last
Yeah.
Thursday as well, and they had a huge turnout.
I wish they would've told us.
In fact, it was on Facebook and stuff. They, like Subway isn't there anymore, but they actually had face painting and a balloon person there making balloons and stuff, so.
Yeah, I
And
read-
Freedom Diner isn't opened after 3, but they had a representative there handing out stuff.
Yeah, I rode through there and I was surprised the kids there too that showed up. It was very nice.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was good, and no rain. It held up, it was supposed to
Yeah.
rain, and it didn't, so that was great. Very, very good turnout. I think that is everything.
Can I mention?
Thank you. Sure.
This Saturday is the tree planting, the Tree
Oh,
Vitalize,
right.
from 9 till 1,
Oh, that's right.
so it'll be cold.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Council will now hear comments from the public on public-related items. Please approach the podium, clearly state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Joey Warren from Vogel's Lane. I had a lot of questions, Matt. I think you answered a lot of them with the timeline for the repairs to the street.
Yeah.
I did have a question, though, about the, let me give you a second.
go ahead.
I'll go second with you. Maybe this is more to council then. I know we had monies for about $125,000 with the neighboring community for the monies for Second Street for the island and the paving. Is that still going to happen next year with the community as well as our monies?
Yes, we reached out to Holbein Contracting is the contractor that had that. They were gracious enough to hold the contract until spring, so it's still the exact same contract, it'll just happen in spring.
Great, and the other municipality is going to do the same with their, what, $24,000, $25,000 as well?
Penn Hill's part was only like $2,500, because it's just the island is Penn Hills.
Got it.
So we were picking up where the brick started and moving up.
Thank you. And the other thing is, with a couple of the remarks from tonight, they were pretty pointed. I just wanted to remind you about borough code. Some of the things you mentioned I don't think are correct. So the powers and duties of council versus mayor, I think you should probably take a look at, because you, with your Ziploc baggie of asphalt, I don't think that was proper.
Well,
I think,
when you've been...
hold on, I got 3 minutes, I think.
Okay.
I don't think that was proper. I've been in public meetings before, and you don't answer me directly, so I want to take this moment to say everything. With that, you should have a paving list. I don't know what a paper alley is compared to a lane or a street for priority, but I think as president of council, you oversee all committees. So you are, in a sense, looking over finance and infrastructure and public safety. So if there's something you weren't invited to, you oversee everything, you're in charge. So that's on you.
Thank you. May I make myself clear?
I got 2 more things.
Okay.
The other thing with the Allen remark for her meeting, are you a member of Allen? Have you ever been to conferences?
Yes, I have.
You're on the email list, and that was very rude. I know you're on your way out, but you're still serving a community. So I think that for you to make a remark and put her on the point for what date of the calendar it is, you should have the emails or the print pieces that go to your mailbox as well. I don't think that was fair. As a resident, I said this a couple months ago, you guys don't work well together. It's pretty clear. I just think those were very pointed remarks that were rude. To bring a baggie of a piece of road and drop it off and tell someone you're going to deal with it in January as a resident, I don't think is fair. The other piece in general, this is my third and final piece that I want to share with you guys, was after the months I've been here to multiple meetings, I just wanted to say a couple things about me as a resident. And I want to remind you that you serve on council for residents. You represent us. I also want to say that we are Verona. We're not an extension of Oakmont or any other neighboring community, and you should keep our best interest in mind as you do that. We are your priority. I understand that being a neighboring community, you can have partnerships, you can work on grants and pieces like that, but some of the initiatives I see or some of the actions that are taken or not taken, I think don't have our best interest as a community, as Verona. In saying that, I want to say that we are a full-time community. We deserve full-time attention to the things that are important to our community and our constituents, your constituents. So with that, I think that some of the things that we have, and I don't know what the timeline was, but for 102 days before an emergency repair to a road takes place, I don't know where and who's been in charge of that. You had a really great report tonight. I know you had a lot that you've been doing, but we don't have a full-time manager. I think that's important for a full-time community. And the other thing is, I think that this forum and other meetings, this is a workshop meeting, should be the place for discussion to address our community's issues. If you want to understand from people who I've mentioned things or I've asked, I've been told if you want to really get an answer, go next door to Oakmont to the bar after the meetings, and you can talk to council there where they're having drinks with the solicitor. I don't think that's a fair representation of what your workload should be or where you do business. I think it should be here with the representatives or the constituents that you represent. So it's a pretty broad statement. I know it's only a little over a year I've been here, but these are the things I'm hearing and seeing that I just want to share as a resident. Thank you.
Any others? Can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I'll make a motion to
Motion by
adjourn.
Mr. Suchovich, second by Mr. McCarthy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Joe.
Sorry, Joe.
Meeting adjourned?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think he wasn't.
I was
You
gonna.
guys had your time, it's not recording.